Now, how about a bill to make it easier for people to buy tickets to concerts, shows, baseball games? It's called the Ticket Act. It's bipartisan. It would push ticket sellers to disclose all fees up front before you buy tickets. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Joining us now to talk about that and more, Texas Senator and Ranking Member on the Commerce Committee, Ted Cruz. Senator, great to have you back. Good morning.
Rob, great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So how about this, a bipartisan bill that makes a whole lot of sense? Take us through it.
Well, sure. Look, all of us enjoy going to sporting events, going to baseball or football or basketball games or going to concerts. And all of us have been frustrated by the experience that you go online to buy a ticket and you go and you select where you want to sit. You go through it and through it and through it. And then at the end, boom, you get hit with massive fees. The data show that the add-on fees at the end of the process are anywhere from 21% to 58% of the total cost of the ticket. And that's outrageous. It's not fair to consumers. So I've introduced this week legislation called the Ticket Act. I've teamed up with Maria Cantwell, who is the Democrat from Washington State. She's the chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee. I'm the ranking member, the senior Republican on the Commerce Committee. The two of us are doing it together. And this legislation requires that ticket brokers disclose the total cost up front, so you can see right at the beginning how much it's going to cost you. You don't get surprised at the end. What the legislation also does is it addresses the practice of speculative tickets. This is a practice that some brokers do where they'll sell you a ticket, say to a baseball game,
right,
except for the fact that they don't actually have a ticket to that game. And then they go out and try to buy one and tell you, hey, you know, the seat you thought you bought, that wasn't available, but here's this one. And what the Ticket Act requires is if you're going to do that, you got to disclose that up front as well, that it's basically buying an option on a seat. That's different from buying an actual ticket, and so that should be disclosed to consumers.
Such a good point, something everyone can relate to. We've all been there. It's a total racket. Hopefully Joe Biden doesn't veto this when it reaches his desk, sir. Joe Biden announced that he's running for president again this week. Look, Biden might not be fit to serve right now, Senator, at age 80. How concerned are you about what this could look like when he's 84, 85, 86 years old?
Yeah. Look, he's not remotely fit today. The degree to which his mental capacities have diminished is really staggering right now. The White House keeps him hidden in the basement all day long. During the campaign, assuming he follows through and runs for president, I assume he'll never leave the White House, that it'll essentially, they'll keep him locked in that same basement where they keep him. And one of the things it means is that in many ways, this is an election about what you think about Kamala Harris as president, because if, God forbid, Biden were to win, I don't think he will, but if he were to win, the actuarial tables tell us there's a very real possibility that he doesn't last 4 more years as president, which means we could wake up with President Kamala Harris. That truly would be disastrous. Can you imagine Kamala Harris sitting across from Putin or from Xi and just cackling? We need a serious commander-in-chief. We need a serious leader. And I think the American people are ready to change course from the disastrous course we've been on the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, what a good point. Take a look at, this is Joe Biden yesterday. He's holding a quote-unquote press conference. I want you to take a look at what's in his hand.
Now we're going to take some questions. The first question is from Courtney of the Los Angeles Times.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, and he's got a cheat sheet. He calls on a reporter from the Los Angeles Times. It's got her name there. It's got the question that she's going to ask him. Senator, you ran for president. If you were elected, could you imagine somebody on your staff telling you who to call on?
No, it's ridiculous, and frankly, the Los Angeles Times ought to fire that reporter. Whoever gave the White House that question, you're not doing your job. That is absurd. I have done literally thousands of press conferences. Reporters don't give me their questions. You haven't given me your questions. I don't know what the heck you're going to ask next. That's actually called an interview. That's what journalists do. And apparently the LA Times needs to rebrand themselves and just go ahead and put in their masthead the LA Democrat Times, because their objective is apparently to be the press office for the Biden White House. It is one more sign of how the corporate media Donald Trump broke the corporate media. They no longer view their role as journalists. They are partisan activists.
Right.
So, of course, they give him the questions because they want him to be president. They support the left-wing policies that are hurting so many Americans.
Yeah, think about it. Jen Psaki might work at MSNBC right now. That's who's paying her, but she still works for the Biden administration. We all know that. I had my producers just grab this, Senator, because you brought it up, and it's unbelievable to me. Politico reporting today that a Biden versus Trump re-election campaign is really a race for the White House with the actuary tables in the background. Congressman Ronnie Jackson, former White House doctor, he's been calling for Biden to take a cognitive exam for over a year. You mentioned that voters are probably not aware that a vote for Joe Biden in 2024 is really a vote for Kamala Harris. It's great that the media is talking about this now. Where have they been for the last 2.5 years when it comes to things like the actuary tables?
Look, the media is no longer reporting on news. They're no longer reporting on facts. You know, if you think back to, say, 2015, 2016, there were people at, say, CNN that tried to be journalists. They viewed their mission as, we'll report the facts, we'll report both sides, we'll try to refrain from opinion. Now, they were lousy at it. They weren't very good. They were all leftists. But that's what they believed in their mind they were trying to do. For the vast majority of the corrupt corporate media, they no longer even claim to be following that objective. Instead, they view themselves not just as partisan Democrats, but they are the left wing of the Democrat Party. So their job is to push the Biden White House further left. And they don't view, if they have a panel discussion, 5 people, Donald Trump is the devil, discuss. All 5 people agree, yes, he's the devil, except for the one person who says, no, he's worse than the devil.
Right.
I mean, it is absurd. And it's frankly bad for America. I think we ought to have, as a consumer of news, I'd like to hear both sides. I'd like to hear reasoned discussion. I'd like to actually hear some facts. The news media no longer reports on facts. Instead, if the fact is inconvenient for their ideology, they cover up the fact and ignore it.
Senator, I know that you and Tucker are friendly. You guys have known each other for a long, long time.
Sure.
I know you care a lot about the First Amendment. You were almost on the Supreme Court, for goodness sake. Did Fox News get this wrong? Was this a mistake, letting Tucker go, whatever the reason was?
Look, I think it's unfortunate. I can tell you as a fan, I enjoy watching Tucker. I think his monologues at night are some of the most insightful and incisive analysis of what's going on. And so I wish Tucker were still on air. Of course it was a mistake.
Yeah, and I know it's difficult to say anything negative about Fox News. You know, Fox News has been a staple for such a long time. Senator, I'm wondering what you can tell us about what is going on with Dell Children's Medical Center. This story is absolutely shocking to me. You and Congressman Chip Roy sent a letter to the medical center calling on the hospital to explain basically why they are transitioning children. And I've got a 4- and a 6-year-old. I know you've got young kids. Why they're transitioning children as young as 8 and 9 years old.
Well, listen, this is tragically something that's happening all over the country. Dell Children's Medical Center is based in Austin, Texas. Heidi and I used to live in Austin. We've taken our girls to Dell. They're a phenomenal institution. And last week, Veritas went undercover and got them on film explaining their policy is they will give puberty blockers and suppressors to children as young as 8 years old. And I just think that's horrific. I think a child that is 8 years old does not have the maturity to make permanent life-altering decisions. We see institutions across the country performing genital mutilations, performing surgeries where they remove perfectly healthy genitals from children, little boys or little girls, making them no longer able to have children for the rest of their lives. That is horrific. I think that's child abuse. And so I joined with Chip Roy, congressman who represents the area. Chip was my former chief of staff.
Right.
He's a dear friend. And we're both engaged in oversight, asking, all right, what are the policies of Dell? What are you doing to 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds? And what are the checks in place? I just think that doing this to a child is fundamentally wrong and it is immoral.
Senator, I'll tell you what, we will continue to spotlight that story. We appreciate you being with us this morning. Enjoyed the conversation. Texas Senator Ted Cruz with us from Washington. Thank you.